Hello, and welcome back to another episode of MoJo JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls slash not MoJo JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I did that in another episode too. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
So I'm not sure there's any new PPG news today. They did show some preview pages of the new Powerpuff Girls comic that's coming from Dynamite Entertainment, though. I'll probably post those on my page here in a little bit. But that's really about it. But today we will be discussing the episodes Paste Makes Waste and Eyesore.
So the title Paste Makes Waste is a play on the saying Haste Makes Waste by Benjamin Franklin. And this episode originally aired January 13th, 1999. The episode opens at Pokey Oaks Kindergarten, where the kids are working on a project with glue and popsicle sticks. Miss Keene does roll call, and when she gets to Elmer Sklew, he is eating the paste. Elmer is very pale with prominent front teeth and thick glasses, and is voiced by D. Bradley Baker. Mitch knocks Elmer over and calls him a paste eater. The other kids make fun of him, and Buttercup is delighted and gets carried away and throws a big glob of paste at Elmer. He cries, and Buttercup struggles to apologize when the recess bell rings. Miss Keene cleans Elmer and tries to explain why he shouldn't eat the paste. Elmer is sad. He sits alone at recess and eats more paste and grumbles about Mitch and Buttercup. A mutated toxic waste infected fly from a factory lands in the paste and he eats it. Some boys try to bully Elmer and he coughs up glowing green paste. Elmer grows into a giant paste monster and starts attacking the kindergartners. His toxic glue is powerful. Bubbles and Blossom refuse to help until he grabs Miss Keene and crushes the school. Blossom tells Buttercup she should have just apologized. The girls use their heat ray to escape the glue. Elmer attacks Townsville, breaking buildings, and even picks up a school bus. He knocks down Buttercup, and Blossom and Bubbles get stuck in his glue body. Buttercup still refuses to apologize. She shoots one of Elmer's arms off, but it quickly grows back. She rolls in flour so she won't get stuck to him or the glue. Blossom and Buttercup almost drown in the paste. They were stuck right where his nipples would be. Buttercup finally stutters out an apology, and Elmer helps glue the town back together. So this is the first time the girls had to save the day from a fellow kindergartner. And I was going to mention that there's a sound effect used in this episode when Elmer picks up a man as he destroys Townsville, and it's called the Howie Scream. You can find it on YouTube, and it has been used in many movies and shows, and probably once you hear it you will recognize that you've heard it a bunch of times. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the episode before I ask my question?
I guess the only thing I really want to add is about the Howie Scream, and it's that you definitely recognize it because it's a scream that no one could possibly make.
It almost sounds like the X-Wing fighters, like mixed with a man scream, like rah, like it's hard to explain.
Yeah. I'm always just confused. Like that and the Wilhelm scream also, I feel like there's no way someone would ever scream like that too. But I feel like Howie scream's even more aggressive.
It might have been like where they messed with it in the computers somehow to make something that's not human.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about how they managed to get that type of noise.
Yeah, because I think they first used it, did I say 1980?
Yeah, that's what you said earlier, I think.
But it even then, it was originally a sound effect, so it's unknown who made the original noise, what man that came from.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, what strange thing did you eat as a child, like paste or glue? And I don't think I ever ate glue, but I did chew on paper and bookmarks. Some. I don't think I ate it. But one time I did accidentally swallow a bead or two. I don't know why I decided at school to put them in my mouth. And then I accidentally swallowed some. I was like in a computer class.
Forbidden candies.
And they just kind of, I did tell the teacher, but they were like, it'll probably just come out
Yeah.
later. I don't think I ever saw it come out later. There could still be beads inside my body, but it probably has been like, you know, like close to 40 years since that happened. So
yeah,
I'm sure they came out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've definitely probably eaten weirder stuff than you have. Probably part of it is my OCD. Like, it kind of gives you like pica in a way. I was really into eating paper. I like to lick clay. I wouldn't eat it. I would lick it. Baking soda. When I was really little, I used to eat ants. And I think one time I ate some drywall.
That's probably not great, but...
Yeah, it's not great that I did that, but I don't think it ever messed me up that I know of, so...
Okay, so with that, we will move on to Ice Sore.
We start off on an extremely hot day in Townsville, and everyone is sweaty and miserable. Even the professor is having trouble doing the science, and he burns himself with hot coffee. He, slams his fist down on the table when he's having trouble coming up with the scientific equation, and then it falls over. Lands on his hand. The girls demand that Buttercup make them oatmeal, which I think either means Buttercup is the best cook of the three of them, or the only one trusted enough to use the stovetop. I kind of doubt the latter. I don't see the professor trusting her with that over Blossom, at least. She makes it too hot with her heat vision. Blossom blows on her oatmeal and freezes the spoon, much to the amazement and delight of her sisters. Blossom makes the floor all icy, like in the Tom and Jerry short Mice Follies, which Bubbles mentions is her favorite cartoon. The professor, clutching his wrist after having spilled the hot coffee on his hand, arrives in the kitchen and immediately slips and slides across the floor. He demands to know who did this, and Bubbles and Buttercup tattle on Blossom. Professor Utonium is delighted and asks to see her use her powers. Bubbles and Buttercup are jealous, but Professor says that while they each have similar power sets, they also have unique abilities all their own, such as Bubbles being able to speak Spanish. The professor makes Blossom promise not to use her powers unless it's absolutely necessary, and Blossom agrees. At school, Bubbles and Buttercup are still pissed that they don't have ice breath and are mean to the other kid. Bubbles speaks to one kid, Pablo, in Spanish, and she says, "Move, kid." That's what it translates to. This is the first time we see her using her linguistic abilities in a human language, as she previously spoke to a squirrel in Fuzzy Lumpkin's debut episode. With the air conditioner broken, Miss Keene makes the kids go outside to play despite the awful heat while the mechanic works on the AC, though it is absolutely blazing out, as it has been this week in real life too, unfortunately. Blossom is determined not to break her promise to Professor Utonium until it's brought to her attention that her classmate Mary is suffering from the severe heat. I try to say severe and extreme at the same time, don't mind me. Mary and the other kids are in awe of Blossom's ice breath and want her to use it to help everyone cool off. Bubbles and Buttercup are furious and try to get Blossom in trouble with Miss Keene, but she's delighted by the wintry wonderland that Blossom has created, especially when she sees that Blossom has made an ice sculpture of her. It's kind of her as like the Statue of Liberty. Powerpuff Hotline rings, alerting the girls to a robbery in progress. Blossom stays behind and makes snow cones for everyone. Bubbles and Buttercup chase after the getaway car, and their tires are destroyed by the extreme heat of the road. However, when Blossom shows up and tries to freeze the perps, she makes the road icy, and the robbers glide away to freedom. Ashamed of letting the criminals escape, Blossom vows to never use her ice powers again. Cut to the mayor's office, where he's using a telescope to find the source of the extreme heat, and he sees an enormous fiery meteor set to crash right into Townsville. Bubbles and Buttercup try to deal with the meteor on their own, but it is simply too hot, and they beg Blossom to reconsider her vow, and apologized for being jealous of her new power. Blossom freezes the fireball, now an ice ball, and the three are able to destroy it together. The heat wave is over, and the mayor remarks that he wishes for a giant fireball about now, much to Ms. Bellum's chagrin. Blossom admits that she's not sure that she can use her ice powers anymore, that she might have used them all up on the meteor. Then she catches a chill and breathes fire onto her sisters. Though Blossom is shown to lose her ice powers at the end of the episode, she uses them again in later episodes. The wiki posits that maybe her ice breath requires a long recharge rate or a long rest to use them again. Did you have anything to say before I move on to the question?
Just, I guess, stuff that I just thought of, or observations, like with Buttercup heating up the food. Maybe she's the only one brave enough to use the stove, because they are only like 5 or 6 years old.
Maybe, yeah.
And then Blossom is usually so well behaved that even when she does something bad, like, she doesn't usually get into trouble. But even the bad stuff that she does, it's not really bad. It's like she just breaks a rule.
Yeah, she's just a huge square, basically.
She, like, oh, but I promised. And it's like, okay, but in that this is a new scenario. You've got to, like, reevaluate.
Yeah.
You need to use those powers to help. But, like, oh, it's bad to use your powers, which I don't even think the professor really said that to her, that, oh, don't use them. It's just that the girls were jealous and didn't want her to use them.
Alright, so my question for the episode is, what would you do with ice powers? And I have a silly answer and a more serious answer. My silly answer is that I would use the ice breath to make slushies for me and my cat Miyuki, who's obsessed with ice. We have this ice maker on our fridge. It's not connected to the water line, I don't think, but it pops out like little chunks of ice, and we'll press on it to get some for her, and she asks for it a lot of the time. She'll come up to the fridge and put her little paws up. My more serious answer is it could be like useful for like global warming potentially. Like maybe I could like try to refreeze the polar ice caps or something.
All I could think of is, just because right now we've had such a heat wave, like just kind of putting a globe of cold air around myself out in this heat, since I work outside like 6 hours a day. So I guess it is a little selfish for myself, but that's what I thought of. A little outside air conditioning, I guess.
Yeah. Alright, so that I think concludes our episode. Next week we will be discussing Bubble Vicious and the Bare Facts. If you have been enjoying the podcast and you're listening to this on your podcatcher of choice, it would be really cool if you could subscribe to the podcast and maybe leave us a nice review. If you're feeling up to it, you could even answer some of the questions that we ask at the end of each little segment for each episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, it would be really cool if you would hit the like and subscribe buttons and maybe leave a comment if you're feeling generous. And I will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.